Hey everybody, I'm Nikki Meyers and I have my cameraman here, Justin. We are part of the Meyers Go Mobile crew. We've been living full-time in our camper for 5.5 years. This video is for everybody who's wanted to see what it looks like on the inside of our Brinkley G4100, also affectionately known as home and also affectionately known as Brinks. Bill, this is also for you at Brinkley because you wanted to see what it looked like and what we did with the place. So first and foremost, we chose a 46-foot toy hauler. We don't have any toys, so I'm going to show you what we did with what's called the flex room instead. But first I wanted to show you a couple of things and a couple of features with our camper. So a lot of toy haulers have in the back area here a compressor and a fuel tank. The compressor is obviously for toys that you might bring in the fuel tank as well, but this is helpful for us if we happen to get stuck or want to do something called boondocking. Boondocking is where we can kind of set up shop and be without electric, septic, and water for as long as we want to. In the front of the camper, which I won't show you because we've got stuff in the way, we also have a generator. So the fuel tank that's back here helps power the generator in the event that we want to run that, or if we have to. Coming over this way, and again, I'm not going to show you because it's a mess and you can probably imagine what it's like, but on both sides of the camper we have this guy right here. This is called, to some people, the basement. For us, we call it the underbelly, but essentially it's storage, and it's where we put all of our stuff that we don't want to have out in the camper, or things that we just want to put away for a little while. In there we also have our gray water, black water, city sewer hookups, all of that fancy stuff. But in there we have not one, not two, but 3 water filters. You can imagine we are drinking from a water hose, which is fine. I grew up in the 80s. Drinking from water hoses doesn't bother me, but sometimes there's icky stuff in the water, and so having a triple filtration system is pretty awesome for having good water. Finally, we have an on-demand water heater, which I'll show you later, and I do plan in the evening on showing you guys what this looks like when it's all lit up on the outside and on the inside. So coming this way, I don't exactly know why this is here, but we have a little beverage cooler. Now our dog has cancer, and so we're using this as a freezer for his food. But one thing I was thinking about with this, all campers have a function called being road ready. And road ready is when all of the slides are in, but you still might want to use your camper. So if we, for example, were staying the night in like a Walmart parking lot or a rest station, we can't get to the refrigerator. And so having something like this means that we can store some food, whatever we want to be able to access when we're road ready. And then not being road ready, if we ever wanted to sit out here, we could, and then have access to drinks. Lastly, before we go inside, we have a couple of different awnings, and Justin's using my phone right now to do this video, but everything is controlled by my phone. There is a panel on the inside that puts the awnings in and out, but the app controls the awnings, the slides, the leveling system. We have a heated underbelly, a heated water tank, heated holding tanks, but all of that, the lighting, the HVAC, air conditioning, everything is controlled by my phone, which is a pretty cool feature to have if you ask me. But with that being said, let's go inside, and Justin, we're going to go to the bedroom first. And if you want to give, before I start explaining things, go ahead and feel free to do a little, show everybody what it looks like. So before we had this camper, we did have a Jayco. And not to disparage Jayco, but let me just tell you, everything with the Brinkley is 150 billion times better. From the craftsmanship to just the way things are thought out. We're very lucky that we have Brinkley. So I'm going to just show you, a lot of folks have asked to see some of the nooks and crannies with the camper, so I'm going to show you. But first of all, this space right here is significantly bigger than the last camper that we have, and that's because they created this slide out a little bit bigger. And there are a lot more windows and bigger windows in here, which I really appreciate. For those of you looking at the camera in the back and have already made comments about the different cameras we have hanging out, those are for the dogs, because when we leave them, we want to make sure we can check in on them to know that they're okay. But let's get to it. So, first of all, this guy has, I'm not going to call it a secret compartment because you can go online and watch a video and see it, but just a really cool little feature when thinking about having space to put all of your stuff. So we have that compartment. Over here and with the bed, and of course we have an accessory here, so I can't lift the bed for you, but we do have storage under the bed, which is really nice, and we have different drawers that we can store our clothing in. The closet, and this is where I'm going to ask my husband to close his eyes. The closet is lit up and also has space for my beloved shoe collection, among other things. But I love this closet, and I love the fact that it is lit up. Some people will put their washer and dryer combo in here. I didn't want to do that. I wanted there to be enough storage area, so when we get to the office flex room space, you'll see, but this is just an area to have all of our clothing organized. And one thing that you may not know, when you live in a camper, you hear that clicking noise, all of this stuff is shut with a really strong magnet, which is wonderful unless you're like me and woke up at 3:45 the other morning and started cleaning, and I was opening and closing all the cabinets and just here. But anyhow, everything is closed with these nice strong magnets, which does include the door, which is wonderful. All right, going into the bathroom. So a couple of cool things about the bathroom itself. So we have in here our shower, obviously, and we have a couple of different ways that we can have the water fall in. So we have the regular head, we have the handheld head, and then we have the belly blasters. I don't know whose belly we're blasting, but it's not mine, so it's more of a facial, I think. But really cool that we have some different options in how we'd like to shower. Of course, we also have a seat, because who doesn't want to take a little bit of load off when they're in the shower? And when you have an on-demand water heater, why not? Are you coming in the shower? I have a buddy. Okay. Over here we have, and I think this is actually a really cool feature, this is our linen cabinet. And in our past camper, we just had the doors themselves. And so for me, being 5'3" on a really good day, trying to get the stuff that was all the way in the back of the linen cabinet was really difficult. And so having something like this gives us the opportunity to get whatever we want. We didn't sacrifice any space by doing that. But have the ability to access everything. Down here, cool feature, I'm not going to open it, it's just a pull-out for the garbage. And then over here, I got a little bit creative and put the toilet paper roll, which Justin does what with it?
Karate chop.
Right. When he takes the toilet paper off, he has to karate chop it. But this did come with a magnetic toilet paper roll holder, and it was in a really weird spot. But underneath here is also, we have adjustable drawers, which I really love. And then we also have our on-demand water heater. And then something that's also pretty cool, moisture, by the way, is your worst nightmare in a camper. And so having these fans, all campers have these fans, but in our past camper, everything was manual. And again, I'm not very tall, and so I'd have to use like a shampoo bottle to turn the fan on and off. So having this 4-speed fan is pretty cool. And definitely helps with the moisture. The only thing I don't like about it is that it has a rain sensor. And so if you're going to take a shower and it starts raining, it'll shut itself off, which I get why it's helpful, but it's not. Okay, now we're just going to look at the kitchen so far, and then we'll get to the living room. So Justin, if you want to give everybody a peek of the kitchen. One of my favorite things about this particular camper is all of the windows and the fact that this is not a camper that traditionally slopes down as it goes toward the front or the back. And so we have 11-foot ceilings and 9 or 10-foot, I can't remember, slide ceilings, which just really opens it up and makes it feel a lot more like an actual home. So starting over here, we've got our little, some people might call it a coffee bar. For me, this is just a place for decorations, and I'm not going to call them out, but a very dear friend of mine made these and sent them in exchange for a donation to Animal Rescue, but I love it, adds a nice little pop of color. So just show you a couple of the things. So we've got our utensil holder here, which a lot of people have in their homes, so kind of neat in terms of storage. I went ahead and installed the different cup holders. There's still a little bit of work in progress with these, but nonetheless, and again, you'll hear the strong close of the cabinet doors. This is one of my favorite things, and I think one of the best things about this camper overall is that it was created with intention, meaning there's a lot of storage space in here, but it's in places that make sense. And so in our last camper, I had to have our glasses in the same pantry as our plates, in the same pantry as our food, and it got, you know, kind of crowded, and it's because there wasn't really any other space to put it. And so with this, we have plenty of space for all of our stuff, and there's even behind the plates here, there's an electrical outlet, so if you wanted to put like a Keurig or something in there, or blender, whatever you want, you have the ability to put that in there. And again, very important, we have adjustable shelves. Does not seem like a big idea, or big deal I should say, until you're trying to put everything together and realize you need more space, and instead of getting creative, you can just fix it. Up here, I'm not going to open that. That's just the air fryer and a couple of other things. And up here we have our crock pot and other bowls and whatnot. With the refrigerator, which actually with all the appliances in here, they're GE Profile, which is, I worked at Best Buy for 22 years. GE Profile is a really great brand. And these are residential size appliances. So with the refrigerator, just if you want to come over here, we have, unlike our last camper, we have an ice maker, which is really, really nice. Really ice. And then in the refrigerator itself, I know we're kind of boring with our food here, but we also have a water spigot. So we have filtered water in the fridge. And then one other really cool thing with this, if we were to pack up and take a trip cross country, so Los Angeles to New York City, this operates on a battery that'll keep it cold the entire way, which again is really nice, because in the past we would have to unpack everything from the camper refrigerator when we were getting ready to do a trip, because it would be melted by the time, or warm or whatever, by the time we got to wherever we were going to go. So really, really nice. Coming over here, again, attention to detail, we have our spice rack. This is nice for a couple of reasons. One, it's using the space effectively, but number two, I don't have to pack this stuff up when we leave because it just stays where it is, which is really nice. We have a 4-burner stove. Many camper stoves have 3. The one thing we don't love in the prototype for this camper, this window was supposed to be able to open, but there are some codes that they had to make it not open, but nonetheless we have another one of those fans up top here so we can keep the moisture out. We have a convection oven, a air fryer, and a microwave all in one here, so really, really nice. And then of course here just a little bit more storage, the unfun stuff, right, when it comes to what we put in there, just normal kitchen stuff. But we also have a knife drop down, which is really awesome. So again, using the storage effectively. And then honey, if you want to come over here. In here, we have a place for cookie sheets. Again, thinking about just having space for these kinds of things. And I don't necessarily use, well, they're cooking sheets. I think that's one of those today I learned things, because I always thought they were cookie sheets, but they're cooking. But anyhow, we have space for those, and then space for dish towels and those kinds of things. Now this has this really, really nice double basin sink. The last camper had the split in the middle, which when you had pots and pans and things, that would get in the way. So it's nice to have this big basin, but the one thing that I am really excited about after 5.5 years, is having a dishwasher. Now this dishwasher is of course not the size of a residential dishwasher, but between Justin and I run the dishwasher once a night, and that is just enough for us. And of course we still have some hand washing that needs to be done. Over here we have this dirty cutting board. But I want to show you something really cool with it. So right here is our garbage, and so when you're cutting stuff, you can just drop it right down into the garbage. On top of that, you see this beautiful waterfall style island. When I do the nighttime, I'll show you, but there is under cabinet lighting, which is really pretty. And then one other thing to call out is that there are no in-floor ducting. It's all in the, like what you have in your home, right on the sides of the walls, which is great because in-floor ducting with dogs and with the different landscape that we visit would mean grass would get in there, dog fur would get in there, sand would get in there, so it's really nice to not have any floor ducts themselves. Going over here in the final part of the kitchen, this is Justin's office, but this is also what people would use as a kitchen table. Justin and I aren't really kitchen table kind of people, but here's something that's really neat. This table slides, so it doesn't have to be positioned here. It can be in the center and kind of separate these two. It can be pushed all the way back, and it has a leaf to be able to pull it out further. So if we did want to eat here, we could. Getting a little bit clever with the utilization of the space. We have another shoe rack down here, and then the dog's water. The last thing before we get to the living room is again thinking about space. So we have underneath here, you see a shoe rack. This is something that came from Brinkley. So my dear darling husband and videographer is very good at leaving his shoes, you guessed it, right here. And so I almost break my neck when I have to take the dogs out. So having that space be utilized underneath there, and then of course we've got their dog leashes and harnesses and all of that stuff, but just a really nice feature to have in terms of storage, right? Okay, so looking at now the living room itself, and that is this area. So a couple of things, all of these chairs have these, a USB port, they all have heat, and they all have massage, which is pretty cool. I don't think we didn't have anything like that in the last camper. As a matter of fact, I had a seat massager, and now I don't need one. They all fully recline, and then the same thing over here. With these end tables, these are screwed down so they won't move when we travel, but on the inside of here we have storage, and then there's a flip up for outlets. I Brinkley use this space for one of my favorite pastimes, and that's wine, but you can do whatever you want with these little spaces. And then I know you're wondering, where is the television? Well, I'm going to show you. So we have something called a televator. Number one, here's all the extra space that we have, but the televator allows the TV to come up from here, which you'll see in a minute how this impacts the light as you come into the camper itself. But this gives us, again, more countertop space when the TV is not being used. It's a safe way to store it when we're traveling, and then of course, when we use the TV, we have it up. We do have a remote for it. I'm just waiting for it to come in the mail. But you can see how much that cuts off the light in the room, and so having the ability to put this away when we're not using it is pretty nice. With the sound system, so we have, again, being a Best Buy veteran, we have in this camper Rockford Fosgate speakers and a subwoofer, which means we have really quality sound in here. I believe we have 4 different zones, but we have sound in here, we have sound in the office, we have sound on the back patio, and then outside here. So we just pick the source, and then, like I said, we have Bluetooth, and it connects to different apps And I will tell you this, the first night we were watching TV, we didn't realize that the subwoofer was behind these chairs, and it scared the crap out of us when there was like a big noise on the TV because it, well, we weren't expecting that. And then one fun fact too, before we go into my favorite room, this is our printer. I wanted to get creative with how to keep it in a place where if we needed it, it was easily accessible, because that's the key, right? When you're gonna be traveling, you don't want things to be packed in such a way that you have to take a lot of things out to get to it. So we just turn this around and our printer is right there. All right, now on to my favorite room. And that is what we call the office. Many toy haulers call this the garage still, but Brinkley decided to call this a flex space room because you can do whatever you want with it. And one of the things that they did in calling this a flex space, if you notice, they brought the wallpaper, they carried it through into this room, which when you look at some of the toy hauler garages, they look, well, they look like a garage. So anyhow, bringing you to, again, we have these magnets that hold the doors open, so I've got the nice little space for my purses, but also keeps this kind of tucked out of the way, so that, you know, when you can't see them. This is our washer and dryer, obviously. It is stacked and it is a vented kit. I love it. Justin and I probably do laundry maybe twice a week, but it fits all of our sheets, all of our clothing. I don't do comforters. I would always go to a laundromat for that in the first place, but this is where we have our washer and dryer. And then this is, I got this off of Home Depot, so my little laundry center, which obviously you can't tell, is that when it is closed. And then fun fact, in here, you can't really see, but we have these tracks on the floor. So when we travel, I've got moving blankets, and we put the moving blankets over the top of each of the pieces of furniture, and then we ratchet them down and hook them to the different railing spaces that they need to be hooked to. Up here we have a loft. We're using this as storage currently, but when we get back up north to our property, we'll take out everything that we don't want to keep in there and then use that as a true loft. You see we have a half bathroom, which I'm going to show you something really cool about the half bathroom. The only reason my jewelry box is on the inside is not when you shut the door so you can watch yourself, but just because I keep this door open and it just makes more sense. And when I close it, if we don't have guests, then this is out of the way. But this is our, and it is a little bit cramped in here, but this is the half bathroom, and the cool feature here is something called a Murphy sink. So the Murphy sink works just like this. So when I'm done going to the bathroom, or if I need to wash my face, brush my teeth, if we have guests, they have a space to do that. They have their own bathroom, which I think is really nice. But you just put that back up and off you go. And then just a normal, you know, again, bathroom itself. This wall does fold, so if I didn't want, the bathroom is there regardless, but if I didn't want this wall up, it actually folds, I think that way, but we leave it open. So this, again, like I mentioned, is my office, and for me this has been a game changer because I have the space to, a private space for clients. For me, if you know me, I love getting ready, and so I've got all my makeup and my nail polish and all of the things that are important to me. And then, of course, working in people and leadership development, I've got a nice lighting here, so when I am on camera, my computers are all right here, but when I am on camera, it gives me nice lighting. And I think the only reason I'm telling you that is because when Justin and I decided to live full-time in a camper, we did downsize. We had a 5,000 square foot home, but downsizing didn't mean that we had to get rid of everything that was important to us. And so we still get to have some of the things like a washer and dryer and a dishwasher and my place to get ready and where I have all my shoes. It gives me the space to really like still live my life the way that I enjoy, but just in a much smaller, more efficient and lower carbon footprint kind of way. And then over here, I'll just show you, this is my bookshelf. So, you know, all of you have seen my book collection, and just having something like this, again, has been a game changer for space. Right here, and then before we close this off and go on the patio, this is our guest bed. So when we have guests, we'll drop this down. We'll move a couple of these things out of the way, but the bed will drop down to obviously right here. And then we have a little ladder for our guests to get in and out of bed, but they've got a full queen size gel topper. It's comfortable. And again, what's different from this versus the last camper that we had, we did have an office and it did have a guest bed, but when the guest bed was folded out, it took up the entire room. And I don't know how my friends changed or moved around because there wasn't any room to do so. And so giving this space back for our friends and for us, it's really awesome. So last thing, and we'll end the tour with going out onto the patio. This is probably one of my favorite spaces, but first of all three of these doors open up, and again, the intention for this is if you did have like a four-wheeler or something like that, you could drive it into here, bikes, whatever that looks like. But all three of these open up. You see we have our Rockford Fosgate speaker system out here, and then we're in Texas right now. When we get up north, I'll do a little bit more with this space. But for now, my rocking Papasan chair is the bee's knees. I still have a few things left to do, but that is our home. And I hope if you have any questions, if there's anything I didn't answer, anything you want to know, I would love for you to drop your comments in the section. We're putting this up on YouTube, so I'm going to say down there. I think that's where it's going to go. I don't know. But nonetheless, thank you. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll hope to see you soon. Thanks, everybody. Bye.